Let's go in the bean. Welcome back. Let's go in the bean.
Hey guys, what's going on?
So we're back with a recap from the weekend. We're having 205 or 208 withdraw. If people were talking shit about the couple cards prior to this and saying pay-per-view should save it, this was probably one of the roughest pay-per-views I've ever seen in my life.
It was I didn't know there could be so many decisions on one card.
Oh yeah, I believe the only finish was Souza versus Tim Bosch, right?
My attention span ran out for it. It
was
seemed like the
rough.
longest painful night of fighting.
There was some really fun fights.
There was one good fight, I think.
The Poirier Jim Miller,
Yeah.
which we were saying prior to on this show that was going to
And Jim Miller was a
fight.
great pick. Best DraftKings pick. He was 46.5, I think is the points he ended up getting.
Yeah,
for
tons of
6-7.
value. Tons of value.
I ended up I don't know how. I ended up cashing out with my losers. Nice. Losers on cards.
Nice.
Lowest DraftKings score I've ever gotten in a week and still cashed out because everybody did so bad.
Decision, exactly.
There was only one finish and two.
No.
There were two fighters that got over 100. Souza with his finish.
Yep.
But I don't think he got over 100.
Yeah, I thought it was like 119 or something on DK.
Oh, maybe.
Somewhere around there.
Who else? There was one more guy that got over 100.
Yeah.
Just another fighter that got over 100. I thought there was somebody that tagged somebody up that I'm like, shit, I didn't put him on anything early in the night.
Would it have been the upset? Well, one of the few upset? No.
Nah, who cares? Let's go on with the fight.
Either way, it ended up being 9 out of 10 favorites won the night. So, I mean, betting odds, like, there was no underdog.
Yeah, that was, we did the exact same on our card, except I picked Jim Miller and you had Poirier.
Yeah, right,
and that didn't come through, so, yeah.
And we can keep working our way up to the main event. Let's go with the co-main event, because I feel like that was really uneventful, just like the main event. But I feel like I was talking about it prior to on this show, saying that if Derek Brunson doesn't move forward, Damian Maia versus Anderson Silva was going to happen again. And what happened? Derek Brunson stood back and didn't want to engage because he was, whatever his stylistic choice was, he was hesitant to those counter shots, wasn't moving forward. Anderson Silva then wasn't putting a bunch of output.
You said it. His coach gave Brunson the best advice in the corner after round 1 and said, stop respecting him so much.
Yeah, too much respect. Too much respect. And it was, but it shows what happens when somebody doesn't fight into Anderson Silva's.
I thought Brunson won that fight.
I thought he won that fight. 2 takedowns. With more, didn't we repost?
We pulled up the card and we reposted it. There's not one category that Anderson Silva won in.
Other than being the fan favorite.
Other than popularity,
yeah.
That's the only contest he won. And New York, their judges suck and their refs suck.
We were talking about the refs, so we can get into this. Was it Eve? Oh, I can't think of the names.
No, I think they're all new.
Horrible.
I don't know if they...
No, it wasn't. The Anderson Silva Brunson fight was not a new ref.
You guys,
he's been there
I
a
don't
while.
think they're all new refs. They're all New York refs.
No,
he might look like somebody, but it's something. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like everybody's been saying it today all over the social media that all these refs are all brand new. They have no idea what they're doing.
I know the main event ref was brand new. I thought the co-main event I had seen before. I thought it was. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there was all over. The refs were bad. That was something that we could see. The judges. Did you see the sleeping judge? The Twitter of the sleeping judge?
No.
Spartan Thuradoa at the Spartan on Twitter ended up tweeting. Does anybody else see that? I feel like Ally Aquinta might have retweeted that as well, who's no longer in the UFC. But you can see a judge during the Silva-Brunson fight, hand on his chin, just like twiddle it, just drawing on his freaking notepad or something, just like,
Bullshit.
Give me that job. Give me that job. Give me that. I'll take it.
Either whether it's MMA fans or ex-fighters, what a perfect way to give your ex-fighters jobs. It makes, I don't know who posted it. I wish I could give somebody a shout out for this. It just makes the most amount of sense. They're educated. You could have somebody that is a stand-up discipline, somebody that's a ground discipline, and then an old-timer, like somebody that really knows their shit. If you had ex-fighters every time, yes, it can get biased, but not any more or less biased than we saw with Anderson Silva and Brunson.
Ugh. I don't know. I feel like there could be conflicts of interest with fighters, and just like fighters,
they could be paid off the same as any other human.
Yeah.
At least if they're UFC people, they want what's best for a fight. They don't want controversy.
Yes.
And so I feel like I just don't want to see what happened. The last two fights were not the only bad fights that we saw bad calls of the night. We were watching shit calls all night by these refs.
I would agree, but I would say the two in the co and the main were the main event blatant over the bounds stuff that I've ever seen. To not even get a warning until the second time it happened is just completely ridiculous. I mean, New York.
It's not the fighter's job to stop after the bell. They're supposed to swing until they're broken up. It's the referee's job to break them up and keep both fighters safe. I can't say, I don't know. I've never been in that situation, but I have been in fights. And I'm just saying of myself being in fights, I've had my mother scream at me. I've had principals. Didn't hear any of that shit.
Sure, of course.
So I can't say I'd hear a bell if I just had mine rung. Like, right. I can't say. So I'm not even, Jermaine, the first shot, I can understand. The first shot still gets a warning even if she didn't mean it. So you still say the second one takes the point.
Has to be a point. So, or moving
on.
Like,
I don't think she's a dirty fighter from that first shot. But the ref's job in the ring is to keep both fighters safe.
Right.
And it's his job to hear the bell and break it up. It's his job. And he knows that it was his job because the last round he broke it up early.
He was way in there. He was actually in there too close. And I would say that I know where you're coming from with the, you don't hear it, this, that, and the other, but that's why we have rules. I mean, you can say all that, but the rules, like we were saying, the first is the warning, the second time, but I believe in the rules, regardless, after the bell, even intentional, the intention doesn't matter at that point, if it's whether it lands or not, but we have seen multiple other fighters get an extra hidden and not be reprimanded as well. With GDR's specific position, though, is that after the second time, there's absolutely no way. And it was this next round. It wasn't like 2 rounds later.
How many dick kicks did we see in that night?
Did Holly kick her?
The cleanest
right to
cunt
the middle,
punt
right?
Ever in the history.
Okay.
Ever in the history.
I saw that.
She could have had her shoe sized on the other side of her vagina.
Yeah, well,
like you could see full foot palm on the other side of her ass.
And it was right between the legs. Like, I remember seeing that
all the way through.
Holy, that was like 4th round or something.
GDR can't have children anymore.
She's sterile. She's sterile after that.
She cannot have babies.
Jesus.
But yeah, so I just feel like the refs were really bad, and it's up to them to, like, I saw a couple of fighters throughout the night that they, like, got kicked in the dick, and it had to be between the two fighters to be like, take a second, homie, I saw that I kicked you in the dick.
There was fingers in an eye earlier in the fight too, that we even saw a fighter talk to the ref. Like, start to look, he could, because we kept seeing it, and I feel like we even mentioned, look at, he's just putting his hand right into his eyes.
Her, if she were John Jones, she's just, I think people are coming down on her.
This wasn't Hollywood.
She doesn't have a record of being dirty play. She doesn't have this record where she's always trying to, if anyone's camp has the record of dirty play, it's Holly Holmes, and she stuck a finger in the eye. She got a finger in GDR's eye, we saw.
Was that when it happened?
That was another one, where she stuck her hand out the John Jones style.
It might have been Holly Holmes, because we said, it comes from John Jones. I said John Jones taught her that. Yeah, but
there was a couple John Wink people, so we might have said that about somebody else tonight, too.
What they'll do is their lead jab hand, they'll also just stick straight out. John Jones talks about it all the time. It's much like what you do with a kid. You put your hand on their forehead. That works on a grown adult. People don't like to say that because it's not really technical. But if we have around the same reach, or I have even an inch on you, and I put my hand on your forehead,
especially if you had any kind of strength, I can't. I can't. Even if I could tag you, it's not going to be with the full amount of strength that I could normally.
And then I can lead you into things I want to do with a forearm across wherever I want. But it's It is a tactic.
So I just feel like I don't think Jermaine's a dirty fighter.
The
agree. People that are saying, I do think if they took the point. To me, personally,
well,
I think it would have been a 1-round off fight. I still think GDR wins. I still think the right person won.
Really?
I still think the right person won.
Where I would say, just like in the Derek Brunson Anderson Silva fight, I had Holmes winning 2, 3, and 3, 4, and 5. I had Holmes winning the last half of that. I know that Jermaine had octagon control with air quotes because there's a lot of room for definition, even though it's always changing. But I feel like Holly had 2 takedowns, or am I wrong on that? Did you have a takedown?
No, she went takedowns? 0 for 9.
Oh, I was thinking of the Brunson fight. He had 2 takedowns. Gosh dang it.
Yes, he's the one that should have.
He should have definitely.
Yeah, I feel like 1 and 2, 100% GDR.
GDR, I would agree with that. I'd say 3, 4,
I
and
can't
5,
remember, but I feel like it was 4 that was GDR's as well. Hallie had the only 2 things she did the entire fight is that 1 clean punch and a 1 clean kick.
So I was about to bring up that exact same thing.
But it didn't. It's not even considered a knockdown because she went knee up. And then some other people, I haven't looked at the whole footage, but people say if people want to get technical, and I have to rewatch the fight again because I did not see it in the third time I rewatched it. So that somewhere Jermaine, both her hands hit the ground and she got an illegal knee. And it wasn't called either. I didn't see that either.
I didn't see that anywhere. But what I was about to say was that with Jermaine versus Holly had 2 strikes. She had a counter left that crumbled GDR in the 4th round, stopped her on her shot, dropped her to both her knees.
Yes,
Me and we saw it and we're like, whoa. And then on the replay, you can really see it. And then that kick that stumbled her either way. It's called a Brazilian kick. Beautiful technique. It was really the only things Holly did. But Holly did those during the fight.
And do you think
GDR's 2 best shots of the entire fight were after each round?
Have you rewatched it?
I've rewatched only highlight gifs of it. I haven't watched the entire
GDR
thing
really throws a lot more strikes that land. A lot of more Hollies when you're watching it without the excitement on it, and put it on friggin' silent. Take off those. Or just the. Yes, she's making sounds sometimes, which I feel like that could be.
Karate.
Yeah, she's Monica Seles in the ring, and I fucking love Holly. I want her to win, but this is the funniest thing that's come out of all of it that just makes me giggle. So GDR says, "I'm willing to give Holly a rematch since it's such
I saw that.
Okay, cool, whatever." Well, good fucking thing, because we know Cyborg is going to be out for a little bit longer, and you're the only 2 people in the division. Like, who gives a fuck? This was the boringest fight. It was the boringest. It was a cherry on top of the most boring fight card. It's like, I don't want to, ladies. I don't want to. I would rather, and this is the other funny thing. Who in fucking earth could the UFC go and handpick to put next to Cyborg to make her look fucking feminine? But GD fucking are. Have you seen pictures of Cyborg lately? You're like, she's looking good.
It looks like they got her a makeup lady and we're like, here, we're going to help you out, lady. What was I about to say? I was about to have a comment with the GDR. Oh, with her giving Holly the immediate rematch. I like the commentary. I believe Jack Slack said it on Twitter that, well, there's a way you go about not fighting Cyborg. There's a way to duck Cyborg.
Yeah.
Is saying, I'll give Holly, and it's true. Yeah. Give me time to rest. I'm going to get Holly next. What? Cyborg's your next fight.
I think Cyborg all day and she gets the fight, but if she's whatever kind of twisted up in USADA, and how much cooler would it have been? I mean, in reality, from a fight fan, I can't even argue it. A draw wouldn't have made me. If GDR got 3 rounds and Holly got 2, and that point was deducted, it shouldn't have been 2 points. I've seen people argue that there should be a warning.
I can agree with the first one being a warning.
And even if you fucked up both times, even if you were an honest person and you fucked up both times, don't give a shit. You still get one. Even if my finger accidentally goes in your eye twice, guess what? A point should still be fucking. We're of the thing that it should be taken on the first time.
I would agree, and I actually a great point. I would say that. Let's say you kick someone in the balls. That's your warning.
If I'm an inside leg kicker and I accidentally grazed you twice, guess what? Point should be taken.
What I'm saying is more what I'm saying. Let's say I kick you in the balls in the middle of a fight. That's my warning. I poke you in the eyes later that round. 1 point.
I think that would be all right.
I mean, it makes
because
it
otherwise
changes
I can kick you in the balls once, poke you in the eyes once, scratch you once. It's
all
like,
sorts of
and
stuff.
when you're coming from certain camps, it's like, why wouldn't they take advantage of it? Can you believe though that nut shot? If any dude took that shot, holy shit!
It is unreal.
Holly Holmes, the same fucking shin that knocked out Rhonda cold, right to the cooter. That was a cooter shooter.
Is that why she's injured? Because she hasn't disclosed.
Oh, that
why
could
she's
be.
Injured.
You know what? I've injured my vagina before as a young child. I wasn't even trying to do anything crazy. I was on a slide at a water park that was entirely too small for me. I was a tall 8-year-old. And I went down a slide and I fucking hit the bottom so hard that the rest of the day in my little kid brain, like, I thought something was wrong. Like, I thought something was fucking wrong with me. Like, I'd fallen on 10 speeds.
Yeah.
Like, right down the middle. Going my fastest, foot off the pedal, right down the middle.
Yep.
And so I know guys say things, but I just Holly Holmes' vagina, or shin to my vagina, I'm going to the hospital. I'm walking different afterwards. Things don't feel right.
Yeah. How could it? Well, because from what my experience, which I grew up with a bunch of brothers, I've been kicked in the balls / hit in the nuts any which way you could ever think about it. I've even got into competitions because I grew up in the jackass era of seeing who could take harder nut shots at times.
Christ.
Not fucking smart. I'm not saying we were goddamn geniuses. But I have had friends that have had testicles unravel and stuff like that. And in mine, never having to go to the hospital, I've vomited from nut shots. Like, let alone let there something be wrong with even groin shots in general. When you rip a groin, when you tear a groin, when you do anything like that, it's incredibly immobilizing because you don't realize how much you use that core part of your body.
Oh my gosh. I just can't even.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's go into being conspiracy.
Yeah.
Hashtag cooter kick.
GDR's, hashtag GDR offspring. Is it possible now?
Yeah.
Is it possible? So, yeah, that is...
It was an uneventful, I would say, then weekend. We got a weekend coming up that's another
I think there's
pay-per-view.
been some fights signed. I don't have any of my things open in front of me. But I
Combat sports related, not UFC, which we don't do too much. Fedor versus Matt Mitrione is coming up this weekend on Bellator. I believe it's going to be pay-per-view. Fedor's already been shot. You probably didn't get on the train because you saw him losing when I always saw him winning.
I've never seen him win.
Matt Mitrione, being the UFC veteran, was on the show.
Actually, interesting enough, Matt Mitrione fought both the guys that are fighting each other on the main card Sunday for UFC.
Great point. Yeah. Exactly.
That's what's going on Sunday.
Exactly.
Everyone's Sunday.
Derek Lewis versus
Travis Brown.
And I
can't wait to break down this card. And I'm actually excited about it. I'm excited about it.
It seems like a fun fight, and I was actually just getting some other information out, but we're moving into another breakdown. What I was about to say again was...
We don't have to do full breakdown.
Yeah, no, Fedor... I was just going to say Fedor Mitrione this weekend. I believe there's also a Glory Kickboxing.
I've never seen either of these guys, Fedor or Mitrione, but I'm interested in Mitrione.
You've seen Mitrione, because you've seen him get his clavicle broken in the UFC.
No, I've seen him lose. I've never seen either of those guys win.
He's going to eat up Fedor Emelianenko. Emelianenko hasn't been there for quite some time. He's just has nothing else that he can do. Like he said it himself on interviews, like, I'm a fighter. I literally have no other skills. That's what I've been doing my whole life. You've seen it. Well, that's true. A fighter like Mitrione, regardless of the lack of technique, which I think Mitrione has more technique at this point in time in his career, more speed, more power. Big money on Mitrione. I don't see a win for Fedor in any facet. Mitrione didn't look horrible in the UFC. Really didn't. It was weird he got cut, but I think he has to step out more than anything. And now he's walking through Bellator, so that's just
I don't know
what
if
it
I'll be
shows.
Saturday night fight. If there's Sunday fights, I'll have to change up my weekend.
Ooh, a new weekend
Yeah,
routine.
I might have to change it up. I don't know if I'll watch Bellator. I don't know if I can get involved, but I do think with the new releases from UFC, Bellator is going to get interesting to me because there's people I know now over there.
Right.
Where there's fights I care about.
And then you're going to see people that you never heard of fight these guys, and you're going to be
and
like,
then I'll
whoa.
care about them.
Yep, exactly.
And then some of them will go with the UFC. Oh, the Rose Michelle Watterson fight.
Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun.
That's fun. That's 211, I think.
Uh-huh.
There's another fight that I was excited about. Another lady. It's only steps away from There's two more fights. JJ Andrade.
Yeah.
And
I
my
saw that.
favorite of all of them that got
You just
signed.
called for Andrade JJ, by the way. Good call.
But better than that. I don't know why I'm so excited about this fight. Claudia Gadelha versus KK. Boom! That's a good fight, right?
Actually, I was just thinking this weekend what the fight is like. That it's just going to melt my face off. Johnny Hendricks making his 185 debut.
I know you've been thought it was 170. And I was reading and I thought you'd be
Hector
excited.
Lombard. Talk about the amount of... that is going to be such a crazy firefight. Lombard's going to come hard. Hendricks is going to come hopefully
I have to be
hard.
honest.
I don't know.
This
I hope he
card
comes hard.
is my underdog card. When I was looking over
it
it,
looks
I have a
fun.
lot of underdogs on it.
Especially after this weekend that we just went through.
You know who else I'm going to just say now I'm on the train? And I love the Beast. I am huge. Yeah. But my heart is with Travis Brown. He's left that camp. I think...
New info, we got to go in the breakdown. Because I just heard a lot of information contrary to that he hasn't. He's not. He never left. He never left. Exactly. It was all bullshit. All of it.
Say it first.
Say
it first. Don't wait for a breakdown. Drop that shit now.
Exactly. I was reading it though, but it was it was Jack Slack saying it on his podcast that just dropped out today, and he was saying that Yeah, he's got inside sources, which I trust that guy. He also writes for Viceland. That Travis Brown never left Edmonds. He just practiced at another camp here and there, but Edmonds still is number one training camp. And
that's shitty.
It really,
that's depressing.
It really is. For him. Like, his career was so...
Do you think his head's smart enough to know, though? Like, do you think he's watched everything go down? And do you think he, with his relationship with Rhonda, that he doesn't want to fucking piss on the queen, where because for whatever reason she's stuck with this fucking shitty camp. So he's like, oh, I'm just branching out, babe. I'm just branching out. I'm totally with Edmonds. He's totally going to be in my corner still, babe. But he's really at some other camp. Like, what the fuck do I do? I can't, like, have her leave me, like, or I don't want to fucking piss her off or whatever. And so he is at something. If he's testing it out, if he just went long, goddamn, if I'm Travis Brown, I go with Eddie Bravo and I learn how to have the best rubber guard in the world. If you're a long fucking guy like that, I just am like, what is he doing standing up? We know he has a weak ass chin.
Yep.
And everyone in the heavyweight, no matter, once you can throw as hard as a dump truck, you can throw as hard as a dump truck. There's like, it just gets bigger, but just a smaller boulder knocks you out. So it's like, we know you have a weak ass chin. Get on the ground, motherfucker.
Yeah, get some takedowns, use some, because he can use his size to just get people to the ground. But when he initially came into the UFC, he looked like he looked like he had much more raw potential in striking. And then since he was at Edmond, that kind of fizzled out, and he really got away from what he really first looked like. And I would really hope that he would get away to go to a striker that was like, dude, you're big and you're athletic. You played basketball until you eventually couldn't anymore. But basketball players aren't slow, stupid people.
Yeah.
They're agile. Those guys are legit. So he has the athletic ability to do that. And I think that in that division, everybody
and here's
has
another
that
thing.
power.
If you're already fibbing to Rhonda and you need to keep things on the DL, you go to fucking Eddie Bravo and you fucking make a call to Brendan Schaub and you let that big ass motherfucker roll around and be your partner in that. All of a sudden, you'll come with a whole new game to the UFC that no one's expecting. If you don't have a career outside the sport and you need to fight, you don't want to fucking get knocked out for the next 5 years in the heavyweight, because they'll keep them on forever.
Maybe they just started releasing a bunch of people. It's new management. They just started releasing people. Wasn't there a big dump of names that was just dropped over the weekend?
I just feel like in that division, and he's kind of a spectacle.
It is the division you're most likely to stay in. It is the division. It's the one of the weakest divisions, other than.
Or are they feeding the beast, which they could just be feeding the beast. But he hasn't looked great. Like the game plan that we thought he was just going to come out with and tear and KO round ones, like, yep. He's been...
And Travis Brown, regardless of the camp he's at, is always in a fight. He's always able to win that fight. And the Alistair Overeem will prove that to anyone, because Alistair Overeem leaps and bounds more technically sound than Travis Brown, but Travis Brown's heart and determination got him. And it's got him through some fights, not others. That
his legs and rubber guard...
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Work out on his abs.
Remember what James Vick just did to Trujillo? And we were like, oh, look at his arms being so long. And I remember saying, oh, look at, because he's so long, he can do stuff other people can't. Travis Brown would do that to people.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be unreal. It would be the most benefit to him. Let's see, that lumbar, or a bunch of people did just get dropped from the UFC. I can't remember the names, but a bunch already got picked up for.
I feel like our girl got dropped, Lauren Murphy.
I feel like she might have as well.
Whatever, we're still fans.
I'm still a fan, exactly. She's still a pro. She's still going to go and beat out a good amount.
I think some of the women going to Bellator is a good thing for them. I think
Angela
Hill came back looking good.
In the UFC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd say that she's definitely on the rise regardless of that loss.
And there is a woman, you probably know about it, there's a woman 145 champion of...
Yeah, Morgan Anderson Morgan.
And she just talks shit. And
yeah, so she's about. That's the one I was telling you about.
And then somebody was like, perfect. GDR versus Cyborg. This girl versus Holly. Winners fight each other.
I made G watch that fight. I was watching it at home on Invicta, and I was like, G, watch this. Watch this, because this lady's going to be in the UFC.
Everyone
is my significant other. That's code word for her. So
For now.
When
we're making good money. You guys can know.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we're making enough money that G doesn't have to work anymore.
Exactly. She will. Her name will evolve. So I told her, watch this Morgan girl. She's really, really gonna go somewhere in this sport, and she's gonna go to the UFC as soon as they have enough women there. And G was, as much as she doesn't like to say it, she's come along in her fight knowledge. She will out-talk a lot of people in fights or some kind of technical stuff just because she always is around me. Exactly. Because I tell her this stuff whether she cares or not, because that's the type of person I am. She has to know
at least what I know. She's been around for longer, more time.
And there's been times that she's been like, oh, he's doing that thing that you were saying. Yes, exactly. She's right on there. But she saw her and was like, wow, that lady looks fun. She's going to be really good later on. She saw Grasso.
This is what I have to say. Mm-hmm. We got into a conversation while we were watching the fight, the debate of, with somebody about Mike Tyson wasn't the greatest ever,
Yes, yes.
I
would agree with that as well. I wasn't.
Yeah, no, I know you never were.
Okay.
But I was thinking, and then I was comparing Tyson to Ronda Rousey, and our friend was getting, didn't like it, didn't, but then we were saying, later that there are comparisons. They were both great. They both beat the competition at the time. There's still I saw somebody put a survey on Twitter, and they were like, who's the greatest woman's UFC fighter ever? Chris Cyborg, Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes, or Joanna. So, and I was like, that is a really good question.
That's tough.
That's a really good question. Like, who is the greatest fighter, and who does beat the best around? And I feel like too many people do take shit off Ronda. If Ronda is Tyson, is Holly just a Buster Douglas?
That's a beautiful comparison, and I'd say, from what we're witnessing right now in Holly's career, that is a perfect comparison.
Just as good as Ronda Tyson.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I think that
is the Buster Douglas of Ronda
our friend
Rousey.
Is right. I think you have to go with the competition, wrecking the competition at the time. So they're both great.
And so what we were also saying,
they're the greatest at the time, even if they're not the greatest of all time.
I would agree with that.
That's
100%.
A saying for yes. Okay, I like that.
I like that, and we don't need to get deeper into that because it sums it up really well in that.
But I think
Buster Douglas is a beautiful.
Is Holly maybe not what we thought? She just landed. She got her home run. Like, if you're anyone, if you hit the ball
one of the biggest pay-per-views ever, one of the biggest upsets ever.
I think it was like the biggest gate ever in Australia.
Yeah. Because people were like sitting 9 rows deep on front row, like first row, 9 rows deep. It was crazy. It was like 900,000 people, but yeah, it wasn't just, I decisioned you. It was, I knocked your head off.
And as a person, and maybe it's not for a competitive person, but one thing that Holly has to take, if you're going to have the greatest moment in your life, of your whole career, the best shot in your career, do it when everyone's watching. Yeah, and she has a big enough fan base that there is a million other things Holly can do. She's so nice. I would even say, Holly, you're almost, 37 years old?
Yeah.
All those fucking daytime talk shows, you know what they need a perspective of? A female fighter. You're a very nice lady. You're smart. You're very personable. She speaks well.
I saw actually her on Kelly with whoever the guy was, who was some douchebag guy who was saying he practiced.
Kelly Ripa.
He practiced in some kind of jiu-jitsu, and I'm assuming that he meant Brazilian jiu-jitsu because he isn't going to Japan and practicing legitimate jiu-jitsu. So, looked like a freaking tool, and he was supposed to be some sort of fight knowledge, and then Holly came on the next day, and I saw it on Embedded. They had her walking into the Kelly show, whatever that is.
And why does Kelly have to sit with a dude every morning? I know there's maybe just you. I mean, there's some other dudes that are watching, but mostly it's women watching Kelly. Yeah. Why can't she just have another chick on there? Like, just rotate out chicks.
And I would say that this works in with my schedule where the TV will be on in the background, so I won't necessarily be watching it, but I mean, I stumble across the Kelly show. I guess I don't watch it religiously, but I watch it. I'm not some watcher of it, but I know of the show.
I know all about Regis and Kathy, Regis and Kelly and fucking. She had somebody.
No, she has new people rotating because of the other dude that just ditched her.
Yeah. Because Michael Strahan.
Yeah.
But she had somebody between. I thought Michael Strahan and Regis.
No. It's been a regular. Oh, I don't know about that. But all I know is that she hasn't landed some steady person.
Yeah, it's like Anderson Cooper one week. And
which I think is a good call because you just have a rotating host.
might as well put
nonstop.
that CIA agent in there.
Exactly. But it's not been ladies. But I don't watch the show enough. Maybe she's had a co-host
Mark
be a lady.
Consuelos, I think, is her husband.
I don't know who's that.
He's sometimes the co-host, I think, on there. I just know all this stuff from gossip.
That might have been the guy that was the co-host.
Oh, it might have been her husband. Did he look Latino?
Yeah, he was a handsome guy.
Oh yeah, sorry, your
I
husband.
it was probably your husband.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And he
how
was
did
trying
this
to
guy...
drop his... Baby, you should come on and drop your knowledge.
Exactly. I'm like, who is this fake-ass doctor on some TV show? Because he's all handsome and rugged looking.
I think he was on a soap, too.
Of course. And I didn't know that. I just am
But I think
pulling
he's
that
just
shit out of my head.
like a stay-at-home dad. I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he has jobs on Kelly.
So he has the type of money and time to be able to do some of that high-priced jiu-jitsu rolling.
Background. Kelly Ripa.
Yeah.
She's cute.
Yeah.
I like her personality.
HDTV isn't nice to anybody.
And she doesn't have to deal with a whole bunch of cunts like on all those other shows. Like, some of those ladies seem hard to deal with.
Yeah, I would
Like
agree.
on The
I couldn't
View or
deal
The
with
Talk.
Whoopi Goldberg. I couldn't deal with Whoopi
No,
Goldberg.
me either.
No,
I think that
couldn't deal with
Whoopi's probably a queen on set.
Yeah.
Too. She probably makes heads roll.
I would think they all
I mean, but she,
queens
I
in
mean,
their
might as
sense.
well. I mean, if you look at the cast of the show, like Whoopi, what she's done in her career is like big time, where she probably deserves a little more to walk around like on her throne, but I don't want to work with her. And on the other set, Sharon Osbourne seems like any random second, she just might have a flip out.
Who do you got in a street fight? Whoopi Goldberg or Sharon Osbourne?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
This is what I'm going to say. Okay. In my head, because I'm from the South and I went to high school in the South, and
Where's Whoopi from?
I don't know, but I usually just in my Southern head, I like to lean toward the black girl because I've seen black women lose their fucking chain.
Yeah.
But Whoopi's been famous for 30 years minimum, like famous, and she's had people fucking taking care of her ass. I think that Sharon Osbourne has fist fought Ozzy Osbourne. He almost killed her with his bare hands. Right. I think she's a tough fucking bitch. I think she has a lot of plastic surgery and shit, and she's had her tummy tucked, but deep down in there, fat girl. I think Sharon Osbourne takes the fight. I think she's been hurt enough and stayed ticking. I don't think anyone's hit Whoopi in the face in the last 40 years.
I would say,
and as Rhonda shows, it's not the skills you have; it's how good you can take a punch.
I was gonna lean the exact same way. I was gonna say that for whatever. That Osborne lady has that fire still in her eye.
Yeah.
Where Whoopi's just like, I'm making millions, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
And that Osborne's like, I don't give a shit. I will kick the shit out of a lady just because I have to kick the shit out of a lady sometimes. And yeah, I think it's a good call with Whoopi. She'll get you with some of those haymakers though. She'll put her head down, because she'll grab those braids. And she'll start pulling, but then she'll start gouging at the eyes, and Whoopi will start throwing overhand rights. Is what I
think Sharon
see.
Osbourne got some bisping in her.
But that's where I'm thinking though. It's not that Osborne's gonna be like
She's
a hard
had
puncher.
to beat Ozzy off her for her life.
Yeah. She's probably had to give him CPR, like full on chest compressions, so many times. You know how tiring that is on you.
Yeah,
that's
probably,
a workout.
Yeah, she's.
But I think that
She's not the
hardest. She's not the hardest hitter. It's that you're not going to put her down. Even if she gets a vase over the head or something like that.
Yeah, she's
going to be like, oh, okay. Wait, we ain't done. Whoopi will be like, I got you. And she'll be like, psych, and fucking jump on her like a cat. Yeah, I got Osborne on that all day. So what do you think the line is on that though?
It can't be too far apart though.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much like...
Because Whoopi does
I'd say minus
bigger.
120. I'd say because of the experienced hardcores like us, we would definitely lean more Osborne, and I think the sports bettors would realize that too. And just because of a breakdown like this, it'd probably lean like minus 120 for Sharon, and then probably plus 105.
Even
Whoopi.
the cast,
That's
though,
even.
I think the cast of The Talk might be able to take the whole entire cast of The View. Like, if you think about it.
I don't know the entire cast.
Well, I know that not to just totally go with my people, but there's a lesbian on the cast of, like, I think Raven Simone's on The View. But I don't know if she is anymore.
I think Raven is a punk ass.
I do too.
Bitch. I don't
Sarah
think she could
Gilbert.
take a
Sarah
piss.
Gilbert from
Who's that?
Roseanne's on the top.
That's real trailer trash. I turned into something that girl's been in real fights.
No, she grew up rich.
Oh goddamn.
She grew up rich, but she's still a lesbian. Lesbians usually, it's still, they hang out with dudes like when they're growing up. A lot of lesbians, like, I'm not gonna speak for all lesbians, but a lot of lesbians that are similar to me, a lot of them hang out with dudes, so you end up doing different shit than normal girls. You're not playing Barbies. You're fucking roughhousing and punching and fucking kicking and pretending you're different things. Like, I'm a soldier, I'm a cow.
Right, and that's to say that all these women are like, yeah, I'm down to fight, because most of them are going to talk their way out of the situation and say, we're above fighting, we're better than that, and I'm going to say, bullshit. If you were in the motherfucking streets and both of you didn't have any money and you had a squabble, you guys will fucking duke it out.
Remember that celebrity death match on MTV?
Loved it. Loved it.
Why isn't there something like that on TV now?
Celebrities' feelings get all butthurt.
We should do that on YouTube.
Break down fights.
The exact same way that show that used to be on the History Channel.
Loved it. Ultimate Warrior?
Yes.
Warrior did something, whatever,
what-
yeah. The fighting thing where they would get, like, the Aztecs to fight the Mafia and the Spetsnaz to fight, like, the Scottish Knights and stuff, and, like, the Japanese, or the Ninja versus freaking the Maori. Which other ones did I see? All sorts of them.
If you guys send us fucking people you want us to do breakdowns of, we'll do it. I've seen other fights when they were like, so who do you think will win against Soulja Boy and Tigga or whoever's fucking fighting?
Right.
And a lot of guys are like, we will not talk about this. This is ridiculous. And, we're only going to talk about real fights. And I'm like, we'll fucking do it.
All day. All day. And
But we should do that on YouTube. But we should break down 6-minute videos of like, we'll be for sharing.
I couldn't do the tape study on
like Howard Stern versus Mel Gibson. Like, Howard
Mel all
fucking
day.
hates Mel Gibson.
Mel all day. Have you seen the TRT that mofo's been on? You saw him at the last UFC event. It was like 201 or whatever, maybe 200. Mel Gibson showed up with that tight-ass V-neck and the fucking gold fucking medallion. TRT to the gills. He looked like fucking Joe Rogan. I swear to God, with a beard and hair.
Who else? Let's go through.
I would have Mel Gibson on that all day. You've heard those tapes.
He's crazy.
He would fucking beat the living shit out of Howard. Yeah. He would murder that little freaking...
Howard's like 6'7" or some shit.
Howard
and I think he has a black belt. But it's so funny.
Nope.
He had an MMA artist on his show once, and the MMA artist was like, "Not that aerobic shit you did in the '80s." That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, where you like learned it at the YMCA.
Where I would believe that Mel Gibson, if he's not, could be a jiu-jitsu student quietly. I know Vince Vaughn is. I know a bunch of...
Yeah, he is.
Who's the other guy? I know Everybody Loves James. He's a huge UFC fan. Kevin James.
Oh, yeah, Kevin James. He's badass. Apparently, he's a motherfucker.
He's a badass. He really is. He's been in it forever. Go watch the movie Here Comes the Boom. He features a bunch of fighters, coaches. Dana's cameos out the ass. Awesome movie. Kevin James put it up himself. It's an MMA cult classic. I had fun with it. They're gonna do a number 2. I think it's gonna be fun. But he is a real martial artist. Who was it? Chris Farley. He was really taking martial arts in LA, I've heard, when he was doing that ninja movie, but he was taking it really seriously. And
Beverly Hills Ninja.
And he became much more of a comedic or body actor, or what do they do when they jump around and they do all Three Stooges?
If I ever made a movie, I'd put Rhonda in it.
Entourage was garbage.
It was such garbage.
That's
a bad movie for her. If I'm making a movie, I like make a... What's one of those movies where they went to like Mars and battled insects? Where it's like an ensemble
Starship
cast.
Troopers?
Yeah, I put her in a Starship Troopers.
Ooh, especially the bathroom scene.
And you put her as one of 5 or 6 cast where she's not the only...
The lead role when
Give
she
her
doesn't
some
have any
time.
acting chops.
Everyone can learn how to act. Everyone can learn how to do certain things in the world. Yes, and so she gets the right coach. You put her in there. You freaking make her do... She needs some public...
ridiculous...
Just out of my heart. I just feel fucking bad for her.
Right. How ridiculous was it that they were talking about potentially remaking Roadhouse and having her the lead character? I think it would be badass, but the way...
Joe Rogan had the audacity today to say, isn't it... To the other person on his show, Nick DiPaula, I think it was... Isn't it crazy that people thought Ronda Rousey was so... great. And then he's like, well, I did say she could probably beat half the men's bantamweight division, but
You know me on that.
I know.
You know my position on
but
Joe
Rogan. But it was
Rogan,
just the fact that Joe Rogan acted like he should have just owned it. Like he did. He ended up owning it and he laughed about it afterward. But it's just like kind of when he first started talking, I was like, he is not serious right now. He's one of the people that made me think she could be a fucking Mayweather.
Yeah, I would say that that was, I remember when that was happening live. I didn't know enough back
then. I feel like if I knew then what I knew now, actually, in my education of MMA, I would have never.
Do you remember me back in the day laughing to you about that? Being like, Joe Rogan was just almost crying with Ronda in there, like, you are a once in a lifetime thing, and I get to witness it, and I literally was laughing and was just like, this is unreal. It was just, he's never done that for a guy. Anybody who's ever had in there. It was just so weird. It was so weird. He bought the hype himself. He bought it himself. He was but he's a hype creator. He's a hype man. That's what Joe Rogan does.
I think we all can fool ourselves into anything, and he's the one that's reading all the transcripts of Ronda every day.
Yeah.
If you're reading it out loud, it even seems more convincible.
Well, when WME also is your promoter, because I believe they have some sort of dual.
Here's a good idea. A great idea. At Shale Sonnen. Get Misha versus Ronda for Sug.
If Ronda wants to take that, but UFC's not going to give her up because I feel like it's WME or someone like that is her agent. Her agent,
Oh, it was a cat.
Her agent, represents her in the UFC, and they have really strict ties with Metro PCS. She has a really exclusive, really high price contract for a reason, and they wouldn't let her do it.
I bet Ronda has a shitty contract too. I bet she has an American Idol contract. Like one of those ones where they just own her for the rest of her career and take fucking percentages up everything she does.
That's exactly what, because they created it. As much as she did beat those women, they also put millions upon millions of dollars into her, and she was one of the few that's. Well, she didn't really stick around because her return was really uneventful, but she was having Metro PCS commercials and all that. Before that, they've slowly all fallen off. We're not seeing those on TV anymore. Where
if there were no Conor, what do you do if you're the UFC? Who do you put your money behind as your future?
Yair. Woodley, I think, could do a good job. Thompson.
I think there's a checklist that has to happen, and I think they have to be... they have to speak English.
Yes.
They have to be decent looking.
Yep.
They have to be able to fight. I mean,
they have to be able to fight. They have to be able to fight. That's why the people that are great are great. It's because the hardcores can't deny them.
Shit and
you get fucking CM Punk'd at this bitch.
Or what's that Hulk guy that painted himself green?
Kudalaba, Ian Kudalaba.
That's too much work to go through to lose.
Fuck.
What the hell are you doing?
To gas. He gassed more than
anything. At least Amanda Nunes, she fucking put me in my place by, she comes out in a lion mask and I'm all talking shit. And then it's like, okay, I will just see you in the lion mask next week, Mrs. Nunes. Like, I'm not even saying anything about Amanda. She lives too close to us.
It's a good call.
But I'd love to interview her from one lesbo to another.
Coming at you.
Or her other half.
Asnaroff, who looked really good in her last fight. Really, really good.
Amazing. Really I think she's a contender.
Yeah.
I think she's a contender.
And it's not just because we were saying this earlier, it's not just Noon saying, hey, this is my girl, she's the next. No, Asnaroff looked like she was...
Well, you're rolling around with the women's 135 champ, and then you also have the women's 115 champ that just joined your gym.
You're rolling around with her at the gym.
Or both.
That's what I'm saying. She's getting
all the time. You don't think
credit.
They're just hanging out at the house just chilling. She's like Arnold. She's pumping iron.
All day, every day.
She's pumping iron.
If you see pumping when I'm home, I'm always constantly coming.
Yeah, so I definitely think that fucking...
Them hips are getting to work out.
Yeah, but I also think having JJ at her gym, fighting at her own weight, the best striker in the 115 women's, but I think you could put her in the best technical strikers, probably top 10 in the UFC total. I think JJ's pretty insane with the amount of punches that she lands with the elbows mixed in.
I would say that JJ's a front runner. That she's just crosses all the I's and dots the T's. She is there.
What's JJ's last name?
Jacek. Jacek.
Jacek.
I think it's Jacek now that I'm thinking about it. Or Champ. She goes by
Joanna
Champ.
Jacek.
Yep. But she's the diamond in the rough. She is the just epitome of a fighter. She's a champ, and she's not going in there to decision people. She's trying to finish them. She's talking shit being the champ. All these other guy champs aren't, and it sucks for them. DJ isn't calling people out. Woodley isn't calling people out. Nobody's calling people out. But Joanna's just like, all right, give me some time. But when she's in it, she's like, fuck this, bitch. I'm going to win. Love it.
It's really hard to call the UFC of all sports racist. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes to just say it blanketly, but I just see what happens in front of our faces, even with the DJs and the John Jones and the Anderson Silvas. What tactic does Tyron take to fucking fix this? What does he do with the fans? It's gotta hurt his heart to be booed.
He's come out and said it, but I think that what's happening to Tyron Woodley, Daniel Cormier went on the MMA Hour. I listened to it. He said he talked to Tyrone because Ariel asked Cormier this. Cormier said he did talk to Tyron and said, this is your point of view, this is mine, this is what I've seen, but I hope that what Daniel also told him was that once you ask for that attention, the fans are going to turn on you immediately. And what you do is what Daniel Cormier did and say, never bring it up again that you want the fans and keep going with it, but just keep owning into your own heelness and people will come back around to you. But what Tyron officially, I think he did was say, come on fans, you got to like me, I'm the champ. What do we hate the most as fans? Someone to say, pandering. You better like me. Exactly. Cormier did it, and we all were like, get the hell out of here, dude. Why don't you like me?
I felt the thing Cormier did when I was trying to heal up.
Oh, I love his healing up now.
I think it looks so silly.
But that's what I love about it.
I know, that's what he doesn't understand.
But that's why. Because he doesn't.
I love him now that he doesn't get it.
That's why. So it works on whatever reason, whether he gets it or doesn't get it, it works. It makes me come around to him because he's trying to somehow rectify it without keep bringing it in my face like, oh, you guys like me now, right? Like, you can't ask for the to be the fan.
You really can't.
You can't
pander.
What Connor did wasn't ever asked. He said, no, fuck all y'all. I'm gonna fucking show you, and then he did. So it's a bit different. Tyron always did the respectful, always the, I'll give everyone a shot.
Here's what he
Never
could do.
finished anyone.
Woodley goes on Twitter after this, if he beats Thompson. Mm-hmm. He goes on Twitter and says, I just want your respect. You pick my next fight, Twitter.
But, I mean, Twitter would pick it. It'd have to be in the division. It would more than likely be GSP, so GSP would have to get in on it. And yeah, I don't think that would matter because other than Tom's, I mean, there's a bunch of people at the door there, but
what about Maya?
Of course, that's the fight I want to see. Who else is in that division though? Right, knocking at that door.
The Thompson was too close of a fight to get the respect.
Yeah.
If he wins again, I like Woodley. I think he's a nice guy.
I like Cormier.
I respect the shit that this is how far he made it.
Both.
I like Cormier too, and I like him as an announcer. And I think there's only one fight I want to see him left with him.
Who's that?
John Jones. That's the only one I want to see Cormier fight ever again.
Oh, okay.
Ever again in his whole career.
Yep.
John Jones, one more time. He can retire and sit by Joe Rogan for all I care. I don't care what he does after. I enjoy him more. He's funny to me, and I think he's entertaining ringside. So I don't mind even if he does Fox Fight Nights. But I don't care about Anthony Johnson. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind seeing John Jones fight Anthony Johnson. Like, John Jones he's the Connor of his division. I don't care if he fights anyone. Uh-huh. I can't wait for him to come back.
I have always been ready for John Jones.
And this is what I hope John Jones doesn't do. Just come back and just be John Jones. Don't come back and say, "Oh, I'm born again, recoup."
He's already done that 3 times.
I just don't even
He's
care.
done it. I don't
he
think
should just come
I
out.
think in his life he's
devil
not,
horns
yeah.
on and
I think
own
in
it.
his life he's started to realize that the heelness is kind of
Just be
working
like,
for
"Bitch,
him.
I'm gonna beat your ass. You saw what I did to a pregnant woman."
You can't deny it. You can't deny John Jones's ability to win a fight. You can't. So he can do. It's the same as Conor McGregor. You can't deny that he can win a fight, and he can win him dramatically. John Jones can also do that, but that's why they're 2 of the greatest of all time as of now. Conor's gonna be in that book now because of his 2 belts and stuff, and just of all of his.
They have to
promotional.
add money
He's the
with
first.
a belt. They have to add money with a belt. There
real
has
money.
to be a reason to win these fucking belts. To
Yeah, I
bring
agree.
the pride back into it again of having a belt, of like, oh, the allure of making it cool. There has to be money involved.
I would agree with that because all of us have been saying it in the MMA community for a long time. Make it worth it for athletes to actually come into the sport, because right now we're getting people that aren't making it in the NFL. Mitrione, Schwab, Brock Lesnar, people that are on with their collegiate wrestling careers. They're not wrestling. They're done with that because they're too old for that. They come in at MMA. That's the type of athlete
How
we're
many
getting.
bullshit game shows? I have no idea. I don't have cable. How many bullshit game shows are on prime time right now that give away $1 million as a prize?
Yeah, but they're not doing that on multiple divisions. I mean, there's men
But
and
how many
women's,
times are the belts up?
Millions and millions. There's a lot. And if you break it down, because there's cards that'll have like 2 belts all the time, and like especially with these interims, then they have to have some bullshit ass clause into that. It would be a huge payday or pay out that they would need to be doing.
People would care more.
I think people would care more. I think it needs to be gradual, but I think the sport's growing to that level. It's a global sport. It's a global sport. They tried to make Americans tried to make NFL be a global sport. They're trying to make NFL a global sport by going to Mexico, going to Europe. Soccer's the only real global sport, but it's been so corrupt. Jiu-jitsu's in that realm, but I think UFC's the epitome of as I'm against global anythings. As far as sporting events, I don't give a shit. Be a global event, because I like to see a world champ and a real world champ. And in the UFC, we have real world champs.
Can it be bigger than soccer?
I think it can. I really think it can.
I have this thing
really
that
think it can.
there's this old saying that prostitution is the world's oldest profession.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true. I think pussy was the first commodity. And in the first way that you got pussy was fighting. That was the very first way for one man to take another man's pussy. If you really break it down.
It's a good call.
So it really is the oldest sport. And not only the oldest sport, but the oldest form of competition, battle, primal human nature. And now that you take that old idea of primal human nature and add it with every art form around the world, every martial art, it's always what people wanted to see. What if you took the best fighter of this and the best fighter of that? Anyone can do it, no matter how poor, no matter where you're from in the world. There's a fighting style that's amazing. I watched that Jose Aldo movie.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. You said you were having good reviews on it.
I thought it was the cinematography of it was amazing, and I thought it was just shot so Brazil. It's super colorful and fast and cut up, and it's just super visually pleasing. It was subtitled. I don't speak the language, but I didn't mind it. The rest of it and the story of Jose Aldo, I'm sure, is pretty much close to that. I don't know how I feel about the actor who played Jose Aldo in it. I just felt like he was whitewashed. I'm just gonna say it, and it just bothered me a little. And
did Jose have anything to do with the production
he had
of the movie?
to have.
I don't
there
know.
was some
I
very
haven't looked it
intimate
up.
stories. I don't know either anything about it. But I imagine if he's as big of a star in Brazil as the UFC leads me to believe, then people care about this movie. It's like, I don't even know who would be a sports celebrity of ours that they made. It's their Justin Bieber, like Believe. And then there's the other movie we talked about. The fight.
The Hurt Game.
The Hurt Game. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix right now or on Cody.
It is a really great watch. It goes over a few fighters. It's in the middle of John Jones' arrest. Right at the end of the movie's the arrest, but it's in a Rousey camp. It's in a couple fighters camp. I really recommend
Michael
it.
Chandler.
Yep.
Sarah McMahon.
Hers was a good story. Good story.
It made me like her more. And it made me look up her record. And I'm like, hey, she's on a 2-win streak.
Yep.
And she's fighting soon. She's fighting against somebody. I don't remember who, but it makes me want to pull for. I feel like she's fighting somebody that I'm like, she can win this fight.
She actually turned the leaf as far as her fighting style. I was really against McMahon for a long time. And if you remember it all, I was always like, oh, bet against her. But she's on a 2-fight streak, but she looked good. It was that I was always saying she was hesitant and she was didn't want to get hit, and she's rectified that. She's been
diverse. Okay. She's getting more diverse.
Getting much more diverse, but she's also able to take a hit. You could just see shots that used to hurt her in her previous fights, or that she would be like, ow, I don't like that. Now she walks through them because she clicked it in her head.
She's a fighter.
It's not going to hurt me. It's going to hurt, but it's not going to hurt me.
Yeah.
And I think that she was getting stunned earlier in her career because she was just not ready for it. Maybe it was the bright lights of being in the UFC, because that's when she was looking the worst when she first came in. And the UFC is the biggest stage out there for a fighter. You made it to Mecca. You are at the show. You're Woodstock.
And good night. You should be able to have some sort of sponsorship on your shorts when you get there.
Yeah, to make some money on the side. But that's what sucks about these cards, that there's these debuters where we just had this pay-per-view that was horrible. The seasoned fighters that have had 20 fights in the UFC, not such a big deal for. But these guys that have had their debut, they have a crowd that sucks. They have people not showing up. And to them, they're just like, you don't understand what I had to do to get here, guys. You don't understand.
If you're in Brooklyn, or if you're in the UFC, do you give a shit really about the New York crowd so much anymore? Now that you've done it. Do you care?
No, I think that UFC is not going to go back there for a little bit, but I could be totally wrong because I don't know shit about the UFC and how their business plan is going to be. But it was a rough card. How were they to tell that it's going to be that bad?
It was a rough crowd. What is? I would have been the same way.
Exactly.
Gosh, if I were in the room.
How would you not get restless? But we saw kind of this coming, because I feel like I had said, hey, this is going to be a heavy decision card fight. It just looks that way because it looks like a striker versus a wrestler in a lot of matchups, essentially when you would break them down. And then there was a lot of non-power versus non-power, and then it added up to that. You could see it in all of the fights.
Do you know where Holly went wrong with GDR? Those awful takedown attempts. We said it the whole fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Why would she go for that kind of takedown? There's so many better styles for her.
She said it afterwards in the post-fight, which Holly went and had the post-fight presser and GDR didn't come out.
No, but this is the thing I don't understand either. GDR didn't do the presser, but then she also took a picture with Cyborg looking fine backstage.
Oh.
Looking showered and fine. Unless she was standing there like, goddamn, my vagina's falling out.
I think she felt really bad about those 2 hits.
I do too.
I think she feels really, really bad.
She's just not a dirty fighter. You don't see it in her career that she's a dirty fighter. And she's not, I don't know. I think there was equal dirt on both sides.
Yeah. I would say, though, the 2
she
hardest
rocked
shots of
her,
the fight
though, with that first punch. The second one, I feel like it didn't hit as hard, very hard.
But the fact that the first one even happened, it doesn't even need to be hard.
No, the second one gets a point,
already.
but the first one caused some damage to Holly.
Yes, it really wobbled her.
But
it was the worst
you have to say this, Holly looked like shit until that. So maybe it knocked her some sense into her, because she looked like garbage in the first 2 rounds.
Holly in the post-fight presser was saying that she was half-assing her shots, and she learned from this that she can't half-ass her shots. She needs to go for more. And I'm like, why is she learning this now? Like, takedowns aren't easy. People don't understand how takedowns are not easy.
That is the worst takedown to try as a woman. It seems like it's all muscles that... Yeah. Even as a strong Holly Holmes, why would you try to use all your back muscles?
I keep thinking in my head, a takedown, she's shooting a double, a single, going for a low single. No, she was trying high crotches.
Yes.
It's such a... If you're a Dan Henderson, Olympic
Romero,
Romero, you can do those high crotches. But even for guys, high crotches aren't easy.
Yes, and
They're
you
not
have to be
technique.
tall. You don't do it to another tall person. Like,
no,
did you see?
Well, she could do it because she was raising her.
Did you see how she was raising her? GDR's feet were still on the ground.
Everything was right.
And probably Holly can do that with every other woman in the division. But GDR, we talked about it before the fight. She's so tall.
What I was saying during the fight, it's all coming back to me right now, was that she had that lifted and she had her feet off the ground. As soon as her foot is half an inch off the ground, GDR's, Holly, all she needed to do was sweep out the legs because her feet aren't touching the ground. A high crotch isn't something that you throw over your head. You can do it when you get an experienced guy versus an experienced guy because it's all show at that point. But when the necessity of that move is just to get your feet off the ground for a split second, and then you sweep it, or you sit down in a chair. Literally, you have that, and you sit back because then the inside of your thigh becomes a tripping point for that leg.
Maybe they roll all the way over you with
when
momentum.
you roll on top of them with the momentum. Exactly. You could see the fundamentals of how it works out. She wasn't completing it. She was half-assing it, is what she was saying. But to me, it was it's the inexperience, and whoever was showing her that high crotch should be reprimanded because they shouldn't have been showing that type of a takedown. Especially against a Darren Dame who doesn't have any jiu-jitsu at all. Shoot double legs all day. Your head's not in trouble. She's not going to jump on a guillotine. She's not going to do that crazy stuff.
Judo thrower. Go for some. It was just the worst
Darren Dame
plan.
had some really good whizzers. I do remember her having some really good whizzers and whizzer defense. She had good, but that's good Muay Thai as well. All that whizzer stuff, that's good stand up. Double leg takedowns and single leg takedowns are different than all of that because you put the hips together, lock up the legs, and
Holly Holm. She should go up to Portland, hang out with Chael. Do some rolling.
Yeah, or just go to I really like the wrestling. The guys, Diego Sanchez is a big guy.
If she wants to wrestle, why on earth?
Just go to wrestle. But I think in general, go to a high school wrestling. They go, like Diego Sanchez goes to his old wrestling high school gym. I've actually coached my old high school. I went back. I know I'm a loser. But I ended up going a couple years and just helping out the kids and stuff and showing them techniques that was... that the coaches just couldn't even show because I had some older coaches and that I was helping out as well. The high school stuff, the basics that you learn in those, because they're showing you day one, because they're like, hey, these kids haven't even wrestled. Some of them are freshmen and have never wrestled. They're showing you the fundamentals again, and you can't ever go wrong with the fundamentals.
But here's the thing. Holly Holmes has great takedown defense. Yes. She doesn't have to worry about it.
Right.
So why on earth at this stage in her game, at this age in her game, is she even... You always say this. Mm-hmm. Do what got you to the dance. Yeah. Do what you got. Why on earth?
But I think high crotch...
Holly should have made more distance and gone for more legs. GDR was not giving her enough crazy-ass pressure that Holly couldn't have controlled that fight again. But she just kept running in and then going for two judges. I would just have to say, if I were watching it, and I don't... If you try to get something 9 times and fail, that's a point against you in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, if you just are delaying the fight, holding it up against the fence for 3 minutes, attempting this over and over again, and it's not going anywhere, I'm looking at the other fighter that they have the control. Even if you are leaning up against them, I'm like, you're just attempting something over and over again. No one's getting hurt. No one's in harm's way. Everybody's getting to breathe. I don't know. It just was weird coming from somebody as seasoned as Holly.
I think that those high crotches and that type of takedown was plan B. I think that her striking wasn't coming together like it hasn't in the last few fights, and that was her.
And if you look at Ronda,
it was a bad plan B.
If you look at the Ronda fight, and the fight didn't go that long.
Hey, it went into the second round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, she was picking her apart. But Ronda was walking into every punch. She didn't have to throw. Again, it was the whole.
I don't know.
That little person in front of...
It's not taking away the athlete Holly is or what a sweet person she is and that amazing moment in her career of knocking out Ronda. But maybe she shouldn't be a person that was... Maybe she's out of desperation. That's why she went for the title defense at 145. And then the post-fight presser, she said, I'll do whatever they give at me. I'm not in a place to ask for a fight. And that's exactly what she said last time. And so she said she had no problem making the weight, even though Joe Rogan said on the talk-up that she did have a problem making the weight. So she didn't have a problem making the weight. She's doing with whatever the UFC tells her.
They were both like 2 pounds under. To be 2 pounds under...
I think she was 44.6, 44.4 or 44.6. Holly.
But with a pound allowance.
Yeah.
So she was 2 pounds under. So they were both about 2 pounds under. Look at the guy divisions. They're 146. They're 146. They're 136. There has been guys that will be in that like pound or two, but they'll be like debuters and stuff. Most of the guys are spot on. There's not too many guys that you'll see be like a whole pound or two under. But I feel like it's the lacking in the 145 competition.
Why did they do
levels.
that division? It doesn't make
sense. They
any
did it
sense.
for Cyborg. They did it for
she
her.
Fucked up.
And then she fucked up.
Do you think?
But if she would have never been on juice and went down 135 pounds naturally, lost muscle mass because she didn't need to have that much muscle mass, she could just do that by being off everything and losing. What if she gets down to 125 and then builds up her muscle to get back up to 135 or something? Or 130 or something. But the fact that she would just always refuse to say.
Or just does cardio and no strength training for 6 months.
More than that with the amount of muscle that she has. Like, yeah. But doing stuff like that. It's possible whoever has always been in her ear has never been right, and we can see that because who else? Just Ray Borg, who had, I don't believe ever missed weight, just missed weight recently, and he had picked up Chris Cyborg's old nutritionist, and he's supposedly who she's saying gave her the diet,
the birth control,
exactly. What does it take to be a MMA nutritionist? There isn't. It's just douchebags being like, I know what I'm talking about, and this lady paid me money, or this guy paid me money, I'm a pro. Who else wants to pay me money? And guys are giving them money. Be smart, MMA fighters. If you're listening to this and you're fighting, you can do all those same research any nutritionist can online. You can figure out your own body, do your own blood work, and look up...
Blood work.
Just do your blood work, and then look up what best goes with your blood work and blood type. It's all on Google.
And there's affordable blood draws in every town. Every town has, or even if you have to drive a town over, has affordable blood draws that will read your whole chart for inexpensive.
You want a Red Cross sponsored by Red Cross?
No.
Oh.
I don't want anything with a cross in it.
Oh, damn, I was going to say...
but there's like
a little old trick that
medical marijuana sponsorship.
There's a old way to get around.
Does Red Cross even do blood draws?
So they did. That's what they mainly do is blood draws, but they do make money off of it. There's a really good NPR radio lab about how people siphon blood around because it only feels good for so long.
They do blood donation.
They do only blood donation where they...
Yeah, but I mean to get your blood drawn like in every town. Like there's a place that you can go to actually get your whole...
well, this is where I was going to give them an old savvy little MMH tip for the little young guys that need their blood work. Because some states make you have blood work to prove that you don't have like hepatitis C, blood or blood pathogens. So what you do, you go to the Red Cross and you donate blood. And they have to, by law, run your blood work. And you just ask them.
But that doesn't give you like your niacins, your B's, that just tells you if you have like AIDS or hepatitis.
Really? I thought it broke it down. I thought I got mine and it broke it down. Like it showed me. It didn't show me like allergies or anything crazy, but it was like showed me like what I was high in, what I was low in, potassium, stuff like
awesome,
that.
Then.
This was in Portland. I don't. Again, it's specific to your state.
Okay.
As far as what needs to be checked and whatnot, but if you ever need your blood work done, go donate some blood and just give them your email and say, hey, can you please send me just the results of this? And they will, because they do it anyways. And it's because you already gave blood. And it can be a good cause. There's other stuff you can do, I guess. Go donate plasma if you feel.
Good.
Yeah.
Give him blood, but don't. I don't even want to. I was about to get into some whole conspiracy theory. Yeah.
So.
Follow us on Twitter.
At Lesbo and the Bean. Also, there's a Facebook group at Lesbo. There's at Lesbo and the Bean group on Facebook. We also have a Gmail, same name. Thanks for coming along.